Hi everyone.
Welcome back to Shades of Guilt. First of all, we would like to apologize for the long delay for this episode. We had some unforeseen tasks that we really needed to complete on time, but we're going to be continuing with our stories, and we hope to post consistently from now on again.
Sure.
After our apology, I would like to issue a trigger warning. This story contains explicit details of serial murder, rape, sexual exploitation, poisoning with cyanide, deception, robbery, and the calculated targeting of vulnerable women. It includes graphic descriptions of death, family grief, and societal pressures. All information is drawn exclusively from court records, police investigations, witness testimonies, and verified journalism. So, if you don't feel like the story is for you, please take care of yourself, and we're gonna see you in the next one. So, in the early 2000s, the southwestern state of Karnataka became the backdrop for one of India's most chilling serial killer cases. Across bus stations in Mangaluru, Mysuru, Hassan, Madikeri, Puttur, please excuse me if I'm butchering the names of the provinces. I'm really sorry. I did my best. So, in all of those states, bodies of young women, unmarried women, began appearing in locked public restrooms or on benches. They were dressed in bridal dresses, although they were not married, but they were dressed in, wedding gowns. And they were also stripped of every piece of gold jewelry with no visible wounds. So, as many of you know, in India, the tradition is for the bride to wear a lot of jewelry. Please correct me in the comments if I'm wrong. From what I've heard, the bride has to have a golden jewel on every part of her body. So basically on every finger, on her ears, on her nose, lips. So this is what I've been told. Not sure if that's correct. But we all know that in Indian weddings, brides wear a lot of jewelry. The strange thing with those ladies was that they didn't have any of this jewelry. And the autopsies that were performed on the bodies were recorded as sudden cardiac arrest. And also in other cases, the reason was a fit, which I'm guessing would mean like something similar to an epileptic, fit. Also, another reason in an autopsy was a pesticide poisoning or natural causes. Keep in mind, all those women were young women, under 30s. So, families were told their daughters had simply collapsed or taken their own lives. And for years, these deaths remained isolated tragedies until one missing person report in 2009 connected the dots and exposed the predator who had turned hope into a weapon. And it was so scary because the customs of India were the reason why these women died. So, as you probably also are aware, excuse me, in many places like India and also a lot of Muslim countries, there is something called dowry, which is basically the family of the bride collects money to give to the family of the groom, right?
I don't really know much about the Indians. Basically, the family of the groom have to pay dowry to the family of the bride.
Okay, so
In India, maybe probably it's the opposite.
probably it's the other way around,
Yeah.
yes. Because the dowry was the reason why these women actually believed their killer. And this is the complete story of Mohan Kumar Vivekanand, born in 1963 and infamous as Cyanide Mohan, a former government primary school teacher. He confessed to 20 murders between 2003 and 2009. So that's 6 years, that's 3 victims per year, minimum.
Wow, that's
So, yeah, that's a lot of victims. That's 1 victim every 4 months. And actually, police verified and secured convictions in all of those 20 cases, which means there may have been more. So, he could have actually gotten away. Well, gotten away is not the correct word in this case, but maybe we don't know of some of his victims. His method was deceptively simple yet devastatingly effective. Lure vulnerable women with promises of marriage without dowry, gain their trust. So, if he promised to marry them without dowry, that means that the family of the bride has to pay the family of the groom. That's my understanding. So he promised to marry those women without that payment. So he gained their trust, then raped them in cheap lodges, hand them a small capsule disguised as a contraceptive pill, and walk away with the jewelry and cash while they died alone in a bus stand toilet. The poison, potassium cyanide, killed in minutes by blocking cellular oxygen use, leaving bodies that mimic natural collapse, unless specific toxicology tests were ordered, which I'm assuming for most of these ladies was actually not ordered, simply because they were from poor families and they just didn't seem like someone who would get killed.
So how is the Mohan actually get hands on cyanide?
Oh, we're gonna get to that. We're gonna get to that. So Mohan didn't hide in alleys. He walked openly in daylight, smiled politely, spoke gently, and used aliases that matched his victims' castes and communities. So in India, the caste system is currently completely banned, and it's illegal. However, it still exists. So the highest caste is the priests, and they can literally marry only throughout their caste. The next caste, I don't remember, I think it was government employees, people in government duty. And then we have merchants, and basically legally that caste system doesn't exist and you can marry anyone, but in practice it does exist, and especially if it's someone from a lower caste, they cannot marry up, they can only marry within their caste. So what Mohan did was he would mimic the caste of the girl he wanted to marry, and then he would gain her trust, and this way he would lure her into marriage. And by the time he was arrested on 21st of October 2009, he had left 20 families shattered, pawned stolen gold to fund his double life, and forced Indian law enforcement to confront systemic blind spots in investigating unexplained deaths of young women. Mohan was born on 6th of April 1963 into a modest family in Kanyana village, the Kshina Kannada district. He completed local schooling and then he earned a bachelor's degree in arts and qualified as a physical education teacher in the early 80s. Not exactly sure how from a Bachelor of Arts he became a PE teacher, but I guess he took some courses. So for nearly 2 decades he taught sports, he also taught maths, he taught science and English at the rural government primary schools. And colleagues described him as soft-spoken, disciplined and unremarkable, honestly. A man whose biggest daily concerns were student attendance and playground activities. So basically he was, your everyday normal teacher. Nothing special. Yet he lived a profoundly deceptive personal life. Mohan actually married 3 times. His first marriage to Mary, they met when she was in class 7 and he was a lot older. So that marriage ended in divorce. He then maintained simultaneous bigamous relationship, one with Manjula, with whom he has 2 sons, and another marriage with Sri Devi or Shri Devi, I'm not sure how to pronounce her name, with whom he had a daughter and a son. So he shuttled between the two households, claiming frequent transfers at work. I don't know how his wives didn't ever catch up to that, because I don't know, if my husband was traveling a lot for work, I would kind of question, why can I not ever come with you?
So he was playing double life.
Yeah, he was. He was apparently very good at that, because neither of his wives actually got wind of what's happening. They thought that this was a plausible excuse for a government servant. After his arrest, he explicitly instructed both wives not to visit him in prison. I don't know why, I'm really not sure. But in 2003, his mask cracked publicly for the first time. After refusing to marry a woman, I'm assuming a third one, he allegedly pushed her into the Netravati river and locals rescued her. So what they did was they caught him and they beat him to a pulp. Then they throw him in jail. But then he was acquitted due to lack of evidence. I'm not sure what more evidence do you need than someone pushing their bride-to-be, or at least that was what she claimed, into a river. But basically he got no punishment for this. So during that custody stunt, he met a Goldsmith inmate who explained cyanide's use in jewelry hallmarking. And it's terrifyingly lethally when ingested. Terrifyingly lethal when ingested. So Mohan later bought potassium cyanide powder cheaply. That's for around 250 rupees. Not sure how much that will be in any other currency. But he bought it from a chemical supplier, Abdul Salam, who believed the purchases were legitimate for gold work. So this is how Cyanide Mohan actually got the cyanide, because he was pretending to be a jeweler and made jewelry. So he
So the supplier was thinking that actually it was a customers that deals with jewelry. That's
Yeah,
why
yeah.
he could able to purchase the cyanide easily
Yes,
without
yes.
detecting.
Yeah, this is why the supplier actually didn't suspect anything. That was something normal for people to buy potassium cyanide from him, because they were making jewelry.
And I feel that more because the supplier noticed that normal people don't come around and buy it, except people that knows what they are doing with cyanide.
Yeah, so probably he explained, I'm going to be making gold jewelry with that. So the supplier didn't have any reason to suspect anything, because Mohan was, keep in mind, he was still a well-respected person. He was a teacher, so like I said, he had no reason to suspect anything. But this is how he got his hands on
The cyanide powder.
the cyanide powder. And then police later recovered 80 ready-to-use tablets from him. So basically what was he doing? He would get capsules of any kind of medicine, and he would, just disassemble them and put cyanide inside and assemble the capsule again. And he would give that to the women, saying this is birth control. So this is how he actually killed his victims. So this period marked the turning point. Suspended from teaching after the river incident, Mohan began using forged documents to pose as a government officer. He started observing vulnerable women in public spaces, those who walked with heads down, dressed neatly but modestly, and appeared past prime. I hate that term so much, because past prime, that means like over 25, and 25 is still such a young person. That's ridiculous.
30 years or 35 years.
Yeah, well,
those are past prime.
Well, past prime is like, I don't know, it's such a stupid term. What do you mean, past prime? Anyway, but these women, they appeared past prime, marriageable age in an dowry-driven society. In rural and semi-urban Karnataka in the 2000s, dowry still remained crushingly reality despite its legal ban since 1961. So lower middle class families, college attendants, self-help group members, cooks in hostels, they faced relentless pressure. Unmarried women in their 20s and early 30s heard daily questions: when are you going to settle down? When are you going to get married? When are you going to have children? I feel like this is all over the world. It's not only in India, but in India more than any other place, I guess. Although they're having a very difficult time with that because of certain traditions. In India, there are a lot more men than there are women, so there's that. So many women secretly saved small pieces of gold and cash for their own weddings while working low-paying jobs. Social stigma against overage single women, meaning 25 and over, was super intense. Some feared being labeled burdensome or cursed even, which is ridiculous, but yeah, societal pressure can actually be pretty heavy on you. So Mohan exploited this desperation with surgical precision, if I may say. He approached women at bus stands, marketplaces, taluk offices, temples or colleges, and he used aliases like Sudakar Kulal, Shashidhar Fojay, Sudakar Acharya, Anand, or any other name you can think of. And those names actually signaled shared caste or community. In India, your name can be a sign of which caste you belong to. So this is why this is important. So he opened with lines that he kind of calibrated for maximum emotional impact. I don't believe in dowry, it's wrong. I want a simple, respectful marriage. Let's meet my family quietly at the temple. And this actually built trust between him and the women. He suggested to travel, to formalize things, to go and get officially married. And they stayed overnight in budget motels, lodges, like, for example, in a house that's the owner actually lends room to strangers. And he paid cash for that. Then he would rape his victims. The next morning, before boarding a bus, he handed over a capsule, one of his cyanide capsules. And he would say, this is a contraceptive, take it now in the restroom so it works best while traveling and prevents complications. Complications meaning I SA'd you so you might get pregnant before the wedding, and that would be a complication. So believing that the marriage is actually happening, most women complied without suspicion, which is really, really sad, because the social pressure made them agree to that deal, if you will, and then after that they just got killed for their minuscule portions of gold. Like, this is extremely, extremely sad. The cyanide acted within minutes. Dizziness, convulsions, cardiac arrest, and bodies were found in locked toilets or on benches, often ruled as suicides or natural death, because cyanide symptoms mimic heart failure unless specific tests are run. Mohan stole their jewelry in cash and pawned them to finance companies, and sometimes used victims' phones to contact other women or mislead families. She has gone away, or she married elsewhere, meaning, in most cases, she married out of caste, so she ran away, which in India would be a very believable excuse for most families. So if she marries out of caste, meaning if she marries down, nobody from her family is going to want to see her anymore. So Mohan did not kill faceless statistics. Each woman had a name, a family, routines and hopes and dreams. And police and courts eventually linked 20 cases through his confessions, recovered jewelry, phone records, lodge registrations, pawn tickets, and exhumations. While full personal details for every victim remain limited due to privacy and early misclassifications, the documents, stories of the key women, pieced together from police statements, family testimonies, and court records, reveal lives of quiet desperation turned fatal by a single deceptive encounter. Here are the stories, told as fully as verified sources allow. So the first one, or actually the last victim of Mohan, was Anita Bangera. She was murdered June 2009. Anita was a young woman from a lower middle class Kumar, who are pottery makers. Community family with a small agricultural patch. She wasn't very educated. She only went to school to 7th grade, and she She helped her parents in their business, but she was very loved by her family. She met Mohan on 16th or 17th of June 2009. He struck up an acquaintance, possibly through phone calls, and promised marriage and better life. She left home dressed in a wedding dress, telling no one the full truth. They traveled to Hassan province and stayed in a lodge. After raping her, Mohan handed her a cyanide-laced contraceptive pill. She took it in the bus stand toilet the next morning and collapsed almost instantly. Her body was found locked inside. All her jewelry was missing. Her disappearance triggered the entire investigation. Her community initially suspected love jihad and organized protests with 150 people threatening to burn the police station. So, love jihad is when Hindu women marry Muslim men in India. That's considered love jihad because it's widely believed that the Muslim men go to marry Hindu women in order to, make the Hindu community smaller and smaller and kind of assimilate them.
So is it taboo during those days for Indian women, Hindu women to marry a Muslim?
Yes,
person?
Pretty much it is. So this is what the community initially thought was happening. Her brother Madhav and local Swamiji pressured authorities for 3 months. Phone records revealed late-night calls linking her to other missing women, Kaveri, Pushpa and Vinuta. The trail led to Mohan, who was using one of the victims' phones. Upon arrest, police found Anita's jewelry and cell phone with him. Her mother, Kusuma, later told reporters she could never be satisfied with any verdict because her daughter won't come back. So there isn't a verdict that is going to feel like justice for her. It's really sad. The family had borrowed money for her wedding savings, repaid debts, and married off her siblings in the months while they were searching. They never saw her body and regretted not knowing how she fell for his promises. Anita's case became the breakthrough that reopened 17 other cases. So the next or one of the previous victims is Sunanda. She was murdered February 2008. She was from a poor family and facing constant marriage pressure. She left home on 11th of February 2008 saying she was visiting a nearby temple. Mohan, under one of his many aliases, had befriended her through repeated meetings in the province. He promised a no dowry marriage and a simple temple ceremony. They traveled, he raped her. The next morning she swallowed the contraceptive pill at the bus station restroom and she died. Her body was found days later. Police initially blamed pesticide poisoning. Jewelry was stolen and later recovered from Mohan. This case was one of the 3 that resulted in a 2013 death sentence, later commuted in parts. A previous victim is Lilavati. She was a resident of Vamana Padavu, and left-leaning activist who had hosted cultural figures, including a lot of poets and other activists in the 2000s. So police initially suspected that she joined Naxalites due to her political leanings, and intelligence reports flagging her as a sympathizer. Mohan lured her with marriage promises. After the usual pattern: travel, lodge, rape, cyanide pill. In the bus stand restroom, her body was found stripped of jewelry. The family protested really vigorously when the pattern emerged years later. Her case, like Anita's, led to one of the 2013 death sentences.
So how come most of these victims never told their parents? Because it's unusual if a man proposes for marriage, at least the girl should be excited of telling the mom or the one of the member of parents that I'm dating, as I met someone, and he said he wants to marry me and this, Yeah. So how come none of those girls?
I'm really not sure, to be honest with you. Especially with Anita, who, according to all the police reports and all the press, she had great relationship with her parents. I'm really not sure why didn't they tell their parents. My assumption would be, so I'm meeting this man, I don't know him very well, and I intend to travel with him, which in India isn't like very customary. It's not like you can just up and go with any stranger.
Random man, it's not possible.
So before marriage, that is. So my guess would be that they felt embarrassed and they felt like they couldn't share that type of information. So this is why they didn't, but it's anyone's guess why they actually didn't. And if any of you has more cultural context on this, we did try to do our research, but this is basically all we know. So if you have more cultural context, please let us know in a comment. What do you think the reason was that these girls never told anybody? 2005 victim Shashikala, a member of a self-help group, she had taken a loan for her family needs, and Mohan approached her publicly. She traveled with him, stayed in a lodge, and took the pill in a Bangalore bus station on 14th of August 2005. Her body was initially ruled as a suicide. 50-gram gold chain was stolen and never recovered. The family learned the truth only after Mohan's arrest. So from 2005, when she passed away, up until 2009, when he was arrested, they had no idea that this is what happened to her. The next victim, her name is Shanta. She was murdered in November 2006. Shanta was the youngest of the 6 siblings and worked as an attendant in a Mangalore college. Religious and traditional, she took half-day leave on November 9th, 2006, claiming college function. There was none, obviously. So she dressed in special clothes, borrowed half a pawn of gold and cash, and left for what she believed was a temple visit. Mohan had met her at the bus stop and posed as a state education department officer. After the lodge night, and what happens after she took the pill, her body was found on the road outside the temple. The family called the college, learned there was no function, and identified her earrings, blouse, and wristwatch from a newspaper report. Despite grave diggers refusing due to initial AIDS declaration, I'm not sure what that means. They actually exhumed the body for a second post-mortem in Mangalore, and auto driver later recalled dropping her and a man at a lodge. Her nephew spoke of how the family's daily routine was shattered. They pushed hard for the death penalty in her case. She is victim number 16. In order to get closure and peace for her soul, I'm not sure if that's even possible to get peace and I don't know, quiet for the soul of a victim of such horrible crime. So there are many victims, including Kamala, Yashoda, Niledi, Baby, Naik, Sharda, Kaveri, multiple victims, and all of them were aged between 25 and 32. All of their jewelry was missing, and they got murdered by Cyanide Mohan. So for 6 years, the deaths were treated in isolation across 10 police stations. So what really angers me in this case is that 10 police stations had similar victims and nobody put the pieces together. Maybe they didn't communicate with each other. This is 20 victims. We're not talking about 1 or 2 or 5 even. We're talking 20 victims over 6 years. So there was no central database kind of thing, but still, 10 police stations in neighboring states, they should have at least, put 2 and 2 together. But cyanide was never tested, so the breakthrough came with Anita's disappearance. Her family's protests, media pressure, and email number tracing of her phone revealed calls to other missing women's numbers. Phones Mohan was still using, by the way. So he got arrested on 21st of October 2009 near Mangaluru. He had 8 cyanide tablets, 4 mobile phones, victim jewelry, including Anita's, 4 letterheads, and pawn tickets. He confessed rapidly, detailing all 20 murders. So he basically sang like a canary. Indian police, they're not famous for their gentle treatment of inmates. So my guess is that the coward that he is, he just confessed so he doesn't get beaten to a pulp again. The supplier, Abdul Salam, testified that yes, he sold him the cyanide, but he thought that he was going to use it for jewelry making. The survival witness, lodge owners, auto drivers, and a priest who performed the guilt cleansing ritual for monks. This is my head is going to explode. Guilt cleansing.
So
really?
Especially she takes before murdering these women, she takes them to the priest or to the temple.
No. He went to a priest because he wanted to have guilt cleansing.
For
himself, not for the victim.
Confession.
Yeah, kind of like a confession, but he actually obviously didn't confess what happened. But so you're thinking about your conscience after you killed 20 women? Really? But yeah, after his confession, some bodies were exhumed and toxicology confirmed cyanide. So the fast-track court in Mangaluru handled the cases separately. Judges described the crimes as cold-blooded and rarest of rare, noting the exploitation of trust and dowry pressures. Keep in mind that in India, conviction rate for crimes against women is not the greatest. So this case actually did shock the whole nation, and the judges were really shocked to hear about his crime. So Mohan represented himself at times, denied killings, and claims victims committed suicide after he refused marriage. I feel like if I could get my hands on this guy and spend some time with him, I may, not do my best. It's just so infuriating. Like he denied killing them, but then how did they get the pill? So he denied killing them, but he obviously gave them the pill. So he didn't kill them, he just gave them the pill. And he showed no remorse. He recalled the intimate details of the victims, and by 2020 he had received multiple concurrent life sentences, initial 5 death penalties, 2 commuted to life sentences. So he remains imprisoned with no parole prospects at all, and good for the court, because this person should not be walking the streets. Investigators cited sexual gratification, financial gain, and power control as motive. Mohan mapped fertility cycles and enjoyed the bridal fantasy he created before betrayal. So basically he enjoyed manipulating those women. And he later claimed some victims threatened exposure, but courts rejected this. His bigamous marriages and 2003 acquittal reinforced impunity. So no public psychiatric profile exists, but he was described as a calculating psychopath who learned poison in jail and weaponized societal vulnerabilities. The only good thing that came from this case was that it actually forced reforms. Unexplained deaths of young women near transport hubs now trigger routine cyanide toxicology. Missing reports involving phones or jewelry receive priority. Families became warier of undefined suitors. So basically, if someone comes and tries to lure my daughter into marriage, I'd be like, yeah, get over here, tell me about yourself. The case inspired the 2023 Netflix series The Heart. Basically, this series is based on Mohan. But yeah, some changes were made in India. So the conclusion is that nothing is going to bring those women back. Those women who had hopes, who worked towards their goals, those women who had dreams and who made the only mistake of believing a man who promised them marriage, and their only sin was wanting to conform with societal expectations towards them. And this is our story about Cyanide Mohan, the wedding night killer, of whom you may have never heard. Tell us what you think in the comments, give us a like, and subscribe to the channel. See you in the next one.
Bye.